Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to our live show. This is, believe it or not, the PTZOptics Express.
It looks like that, yeah.
We have a couple guests on the live show with us, which I'm super happy to have. And today we were supposed to have a Ziptonite was supposed to be here.
Right.
They bailed last minute, which is fine. You know, I know things happen. You know, not everybody can make everything. But we turned a bad thing into a good thing, I guess you could say. And we now have guests over here from the audience. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Leela Marshall, and I'm from the University of Virginia.
Hi, Leela.
And I work with the
Are
class.
you in Japan today?
No, I thought your sand looked like Japan.
Oh.
The background. So I work with a classrooms group here, and we have a lot of cameras and use Zoom and other things, and we just have a lot of USB issues to deal with. I was hoping someone out there had some answers for me.
Well,
and I'm going to turn off my video now.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, we will definitely. I thank you for your question, Andy. She asked a important question that I definitely wanted to get to.
Sure.
And then we also have William Bacon here. Hi, William.
Hey, good morning from snowy New York. Definitely snowing heavily here. We do live streaming all over the world. We've been using Zoom quite a bit to bring in speakers into the live stream. Typically using Wirecast, per active speaker, per pinned, presenter, and it works pretty good. It's all the rage these days.
It is.
Bringing your audience
everybody's
in.
using it.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'm hoping that we'll maybe ask you some questions. Who knows? This is kind of unplanned. Rick, you're here as well? Hi, Rick. Good to see you. Feel free to chime in whenever you want. So, Andy, our idea today is to just answer questions in the chat and try to do our best to do so.
Sure, yeah. I have a pretty good amount of experience with the cameras, so any question you guys have, I'll definitely do my best to answer them, or even if I don't have an answer, we can probably set up a test and try and find you an answer.
I'm going to turn off the train noises. That was just for ambiance, but obviously at this point we don't need that. Let's start with Leela's question, which I'm pretty sure you have an answer for this one. I would like to know how folks manage their USB devices. Is there a software program that grabs the camera? So do you know how to release it? Or if it goes offline, can we wake it up with a power cycle?
Without a power cycle.
Without a power cycle.
Good questions there. One thing I want to preface is the USB is a very, very finicky way to connect devices to the computer. A lot of times I see a lot of failures with the devices working with a particular computer, and then you go move it to another computer and it works completely fine. It usually has to do with either Windows or the Mac computer seeing the USB driver in a way it's not supposed to be seen. It'll see the driver as a hub or a USB extension device instead of a USB video device. That kind of stuff happens very frequently, not even with just our cameras, but other cameras we test with. It's just kind of the nature of USB. Before I started doing this job, I worked as an AV integrator for many years, and extending USB was one of the biggest headaches I ran into left and right, installing a lot of smart boards and things like that. Touch projectors, installing USB for that functionality wound up being very hit or miss. You do the exact same setup in multiple rooms, it would work fine in 2 out of 3, and in the one you'd have nothing but issues. So as far as managing the USB devices, you can usually go into, I usually just use Windows to make sure that the drivers are installing correctly. If you go into Device Manager, making sure your camera shows up under imaging devices, making sure your audio device shows up on sound devices. That's usually the easiest way to just keep track of things.
Part of the issue is that these are the Windows device drivers. There's no specific device drivers. I wish there were. to most of these cameras, and so the universal device driver times out or gets captured by a software program, and then so someone uses Skype and we want to go back and use Zoom, and Skype's got it and won't let it go, or Panopto remote recorder or things like that. So I just wondered if anybody knew if there was a program that, a batch file that we could put on the laptop.
There is a couple things, and Andy, I have a small answer to that, but why don't you go ahead?
So usually what I find, if you're in a situation where you're using the camera with a lot of different programs and you're running into issues where the camera's pulled up in Zoom, but you're trying to launch a Skype call and the camera's being used by Zoom and you can't grab it, you have to go back to Skype or back to Zoom, get rid of it, and then go back to Skype, pull it up, and things like that. A lot of times there's a free program online called Split Camera. It basically works as an intermediary between the camera and any programs you pull in the camera on. So you can basically pull in your camera feed into Split Camera, and then when you go into Zoom, you can pull in the Split Camera video filter, and that's going to be the output of Split Cam, basically. And what's cool about that is you can actually pull it up into dozens of different programs, and you're not going to run into that conflict of your camera's already in use by another program.
I have about 200 computers, and I use Minicam personally on my desktop computer here at work.
Same difference for the program, basically. Minicam's just a more
but it's the free version has
version.
all of the ads, et cetera, and I'm not sure I can afford the professional version. Do you know? And our software folks are reluctant to load it on the machines because they can't verify its validity or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of times freeware isn't really the ideal solution to fixing a problem, but I just wanted to make it aware that Split Cam is out there. Minicam will do the exact same thing. It's just a much nicer, more secure program than Split Cam.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only other thing I'd throw in there is that this is something that in my mind is something that we're all dealing with, and I could see in 6 months this problem going away, especially for Windows users, because this is what Windows 10 was trying to do when they broke their H.264 codec.
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember?
I remember it breaking. I didn't know exactly what they were trying to do when that happened.
Everyone remembers when Windows 10 broke their H.264 compression, like literally millions of webcams stopped working. What they were trying to do was they were trying to allow users to fix that exact problem, so that if you had one USB device, you could open it up in multiple programs without having to have Minicam in the middle. So I think this is something that's going to solve itself within the next 6 months, let's say. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that Windows is going to do that. On the Mac side, I have no idea what to expect. But Windows 10 has planned to fix this problem like directly through their platform.
That's cool. I did not know that.
That's really good news, because with the proliferation of, casting and recording and web conferencing, it's going to be important for that to, it's going to make it a lot better. Thanks, guys, for all you do. Appreciate it. I'm probably going to sign off and watch the live feed.
For jumping on the show, especially when we had our guest not show up today. So that's always great. And anyone who joins the live show, there's the link below. You can call in. You can ask us questions. You can join via video. We were happy to have you here. William's up there in snowy New York. I know Rick. I've met him before. Rick's from Ohio. It's fun to have people all around the world join the show.
Awesome.
Can you hear me just on the phone? I'm here in Los Angeles. Is that how it works?
Hey, how's it going? Who is this? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
My name is Roby. I'm here in Los Angeles. vMix is what I like to use, and I've been watching your shows. I subscribe to your tutorials, Paul, and so now here I am all of a sudden on your live stream.
It's good to hear you, Roby. I noticed you took some of our tutorials on Udemy. That was something I was going to mention during this show. Completely free, guys. Courses on vMix, courses on Wirecast, courses on YouTube Live, Facebook Live. not just for everybody here, but a lot of resellers can now use this as a value add to help their customers get kind of a jump start in the live streaming industry. Roby, is there any questions you have for us while we have you?
Well, not really. Just that I'm eating all this up. vMix is what I discovered, and I decided to use that over Wirecast because you did a review comparing the two, and I decided that's where I got to go. So I'm on their trial still, but I sure like it. They seem to be really knowing what they're doing. I come from decades of network television broadcasting, and this kind of software is beyond what we were using, you know, at NBC back in the day. It's amazing. And not only can you use it for live, obviously, you can save it and broadcast it later, you know, so it's very exciting.
It's pretty incredible. We're using it now, as you can see, and we're just doing virtual sets. Like, for me to sit down and create a virtual set like this probably took me about 45 minutes. But once this is done, you know, I can give it out to you guys. We can share this kind of stuff, and the community that, not just vMix, but Wirecast and other things like even TriCasters, the communities that have been built around making live streaming accessible it's incredible what everyone together has done.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing what programs like vMix and Wirecast can actually do these days. I mean, you're talking even 10 years ago. In order to try and stream to the internet and record simultaneously, a lot of times you're using digital video recorders or DVD burners to try and record shows and everything like that, and even just mixing in the audio and everything could be a nightmare. Now it's just one program, a decent computer, run everything back to it, and you're basically live streaming, recording everything you need to do.
So here's a question from William. We actually have him on the show. And William's asking, do you have a preferred Cat6 or SDI converter for long runs?
So usually for long runs, I usually don't recommend going over Cat. You can. What we usually do is when you have a long run, I'll tend to use the SDI camera and then just use an SDI to USB 3 frame grabber at the end. And since you can go around a little over 300 feet with the HD SDI signal, and the cable is just RG6, it's relatively inexpensive, it's one of the more reliable and cost-effective ways to actually run a long run like that. Unless you're looking to go over 300 feet, in which case you probably have to go over Cat.
This is Roby.
Sorry, Roby.
I have a quick, under the same subject, the network cable limitations. Is there any way to extend that? I think you say on your site there's a limit. Can that be can there be a repeater in some way that can extend?
Yeah, usually the limit for the Ethernet cable or the RJ45 is just for a direct connection. As long as there are switches or routers in place there, in between each cable run, you should be fine. That's how we're able to achieve control of and video signals of the cameras on very large deployed networks with buildings that are a mile long, basically. They have switches and routers in place to make it so they're never really exceeding more than 100 or 200 feet of Cat cable at any given time.
Oh, that's good. I want to recommend it to a university, and they have a theater in one end of their complex. And then, you know, they have screens, you know, throughout the building for people to watch what's going on in the theater. So it's good to know. You might want to add that to your website. I really thought that was a hard limitation for networks.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely something I can throw up in a knowledge base article.
So Williams, you currently have a Cat6 to HDMI that's having HTCP errors?
Yeah, you know, going in Blackmagic into the computer, and you know, I got a hodgepodge of cameras, you know, and it's just a mix or match kind of paradigm where I have to sit there and plug and play until I get it to work, and there's usually no rhyme or reason when it works and when it doesn't. So next time, it's going to be all SDI for sure.
You know what? And especially, you know, the only reason why I think a lot of people use USB is to avoid purchasing a capture card. And, it doesn't really save you that much money when you talk about doing USB 3.0 extensions, which there's some optical USB 3 extensions, and then made by Corning, who you would think, they make the glass for like iPhones. You'd think that would be super high quality. Then they come out and say, oh, we found out that our fiber optics burn out after a year of use. And people have been using SDI for what, 50 years?
Yeah, I mean, SDI's been around for a long time.
So it was kind of upsetting to hear a lot of the USB 3.0 extensions that have been out in the field for a couple years are being recalled.
Yeah, my basic experience doing this for a year and a half, dealing with USB cameras and things like that, is there's no rhyme or reason to when they fail. Sometimes you'll have the exact same system, hook it up, it'll work perfect. You'll hook it up in another room, and it just won't work. That's why I usually recommend doing SDI to a frame grabber, since the SDI cameras are $100 cheaper than the USB equivalent, and SDI cabling is so much cheaper than extending USB 3. It winds up being about the same cost anyway, even though you have to spend $300 for a frame grabber. The camera's $100 cheaper. You can buy the 100-foot SDI cable for under $100, whereas if you get a 100-foot USB 3 extension, it's probably going to be $200 to $300. So the cost kind of evens out, and then if it's something you're supporting, the reliability of it is really the main selling point. Going SDI to a frame grabber, I've never seen it fail.
Can you use one of those frame grabbers if I'm using a laptop which only has USB 3. It doesn't have Thunderbolt. That's what it's called. Can that be used in some way with that?
Yep. The frame grabber I'm talking about is it's a Magewell piece.
There's one right there.
Yeah, we have a bunch of them lying around.
We've
tested them pretty extensively with the cameras, but they're it's SDI to USB 3. There's no FireWire or anything like that, like mini DisplayPort kind of adaptation. It's just USB 3.
And you put that in the notes somewhere so I can find it?
Sure.
Yeah, not a problem. There's definitely a bunch of videos on our YouTube channel about it as well. And, if you're doing I think if you are using a USB, one of our USB cameras and you're using the cable that comes with it, it's reliable.
Right. It's just when you get to USB 3 extension. That's where you start having issues. And as of right now, I don't think there's a single USB 3 extension over CAT that I know of that works reliably with the cameras. I think Icron is working on one as we speak, but I haven't had it in my hands yet.
The other interesting...
I have another question.
Sure, go ahead, Robbie.
NDI with the PTZOptics cameras. I think you were talking about on one of one of your shows about you're not quite NDI yet, or is that getting closer, or do you have NDI capability built into yours?
So, and I was waiting for this question to come up, and I was kind of going to segue into IP. Why don't we go ahead and segue into IP video, IP control, where we're headed there. On the NewTek NDI portion, the only thing that I can say is that we're under NDA, and I can't say anything at all. That's all I can say. All I can say is I can't say anything. That's all I can say. But let's segue into IP control, IP video, and the exciting possibilities of it replacing SDI. That's what the NewTek NDI is all about.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you can get SDI quality and you're not dealing with the latency over the network, that's the main reason why RTSP feeds and stuff like that don't work. Mm-hmm. Which is what NewTek is doing with the NDI protocol. So
there's a couple things to think about. One is I was never a believer in H.264 compression video being as good as an SDI connection or even a USB connection. But I've been talking to my engineers, and they say when that's true, but we can stream MJPEG, which is lossless streaming quality, so that you can stream over an Ethernet connection via no compression, just MJPEG. It uses a lot of bandwidth. I think it uses 100 megabits per second bandwidth. But from what I'm told, properly tuned on a network that's non-congested, it's actually, David said it was better than some of the SDI and USB connections. Possible. That's what he said. I haven't confirmed
I believe that for the USB connection. I don't know about SDI. I think SDI is about the best video quality you can get.
I think so, too. I think HDMI is really good, too. I think HDMI and SDI are about the same. But from what I'm being told, the IP streaming via MJPEG, The reason why we put it into the cameras is for a high quality backup, right? So you're using SDI for your broadcast or HDMI for your broadcast, and you have this high quality stream in MJPEG being saved on an FTP server or something. But it's not going to be long when the latency is continually getting lower and lower. Now, of course, the latency is inherent in IP streaming today, but if you were willing to have an audio sync change, like with vMix, you can offset the audio by half a second. You can do that in Wirecast, and you can do that with a TriCaster. I still don't like doing that because it's much easier to do everything in real time.
Yeah, if you can achieve that.
Which you can with SDI and
Right.
HDMI and frame grabbers. But with this IP stuff, the only thing holding it back right now is that half a second. How long would you say the latency is?
Oh, it all depends on the congestion of your network. But yeah, I mean, half second to a second to 2 seconds, depending on what you got going on.
I mean, we've seen it as low as 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. It can get really good, and we're always pushing. It has to do with the processor in the camera. How fast can it spit that video out of the processor, the ARM processor on there. So moving forward, everything is going to go IP. We're not there yet, and it's already 2017. Maybe it's going to be 2018 until affordable PTZOptics cameras have low, like zero latency streaming. But that is definitely the future. So thank you for that question, Roby. I certainly can't mention anything about the NDI that we may or may not know about. William's asking, what do you think about X264? I've heard about it. I don't know about it.
I am not positive. That would probably be a question we could run by Davis, and he would probably know that one.
We do.
Yeah, it's just one of the options inside of, like I say, going to YouTube. It's actually one of the encoding options. But I've had a lot of people complain that they couldn't watch that stream on their phone. Maybe they're on a phone that doesn't have the right codec playback. I'm not sure. But when I've switched back to, the standard H.264, nobody complains that they can't watch it. That part, yeah. But it's a better compression, supposedly. And that's inside of Wirecast.
That's been what's kind of been holding H.265 back, too, from what I understand. Which is we have it built into our cameras for those specialty applications, but there's just not enough support for it at this point. Mike's chiming in here saying that the X264 is the open source H.264 code.
Okay.
Let's answer Kevin's question here. He's asking, is there a way to reduce or change the dead zone on the IP joystick when connecting to the Gen 2 SDI 20X IP cameras?
What do you mean by dead zone?
Yeah, that I'm not sure of either. I'm wondering if he's talking about how long it takes to connect in between the IP, potentially. Kevin, if you can just explain that, and I know we're about 30 to 45 seconds ahead of them.
Yeah, definitely.
So sometimes it takes people a couple minutes to respond. Just wondering, because I've used the IP joystick myself a few times. There's actually one at B&H Photo that I set up in downtown Manhattan that we've been getting a lot of calls and interest about. And I know that when you do connect from one camera to the next, there's about a 1 to 2 second wait where it disconnects from the one, connects to the other, and that has to do with the IP protocol we're using ONVIF. Okay, the amount of distance. Okay, so the amount of time it takes the joystick to respond.
So there is, the same way there is latency for the RTSP feeds coming from the camera, there's latency when using the joystick to control the camera just because of the network latency, the traffic on the network, anything like that.
The angle of the joystick before... Oh, I see what he's saying. So he's saying basically like, it's not necessarily... Because it doesn't take that long to respond, in my opinion. It's almost as fast as the RS-232 joystick. I think what he's asking is not the connection time in between cameras. What he's asking is, like, he wants to go a very, very slight amount of push on that joystick, and it doesn't initiate a pan until a little bit more of a push. I think is what he's saying.
Okay. So I do know the PT Joy, the RIP joystick. It does have variable speeds, but usually a lot of the joysticks you'll work with will, if you slam the joystick to the right, it'll move really quick to the right, whereas if you just touch it slightly to the right, it'll move really slow. I think the IP joystick has 2 different speeds instead of 3, but you can actually change the speed of the joystick itself using the speed button. So if you're saying that it's taking too long for it to respond, maybe slowing it down and you can kind of move over to the right quicker, but it won't respond as quick if you slow it down. So it might be easier to use.
Are there any keys on it for just left, right, up, down, or is it just the joystick for that function?
It's just the joystick for that function.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and so you've obviously got the IP joystick. You've got it working, which is great. It's just some of the fine details. I mean, it kind of, the RS-232 joystick, I believe, is a little bit more responsive.
I think there's a little bit more features on it, and it's definitely more responsive. And it's easier to snag control of other cameras and things like that.
Yeah, there's the hotkey buttons and
but
things.
that's a lot of it has to do with just a hardwired serial connection compared to controlling it over your network.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we have to be a little bit realistic about what this thing is. When you think about a deployment of a college where they have 120 cameras, now you can have one joystick to control all of those, or any at any given time. That's a pretty powerful thing for a $650 product. Kevin's now saying here, the issue I have is not speed, but how far you have to push the angle of the joystick before it starts to pan. You could possibly supplement the joystick for very small movements with our IP interface, which you can also set variable speeds for. So you could set a very low pan or tilt speed on the IP address of the actual camera in a web browser, and just click the right or left button, do a very slow left or right pan. Obviously, you want to do everything in the joystick.
Yeah, obviously. That's one I haven't heard of before, but once we're done with the stream, I can go hook up my IP joystick and just take a look at how long I actually have to depress that joystick before it actually grabs control of the camera. And take a look. We can compare notes and just make sure that I'm experiencing what you're experiencing and that there's nothing wrong with the joystick itself.
While we're waiting for some more questions, I'm going to do a cut to here and a slow pan back, just for a little cinematic movement while we're waiting for our next question. Thank you so much, guys, for making this is our last live stream of the year. It's been a really fun year. We couldn't have done it without all of you out there. All of you out there that have watched our show, used our cameras, provided feedback throughout the whole time. It's been incredible. It's been a wonderful year. It really has. And we wish you the best for the holidays. Stick around a little bit more if there's any final questions. But otherwise, it's been a wonderful year.
Oh, I think you were going to talk about your courses. I think you mentioned you were going to bring that up.
Your courses?
The courses that you have.
Oh, good point. Why don't we do that really quickly? So what I'm going to do, because I definitely want to bring this up before we call it a day, because this is something that I think is really going to, these are completely free, by the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to PTZOptics.com, and even though it's super festive, I'm going to get rid of this Christmas layout.
Oh, no.
So people can actually see where they're going. So basically on any normal page, there's this bar, there's this right-hand side bar here. And right here is the free live streaming and video production courses. So you can go ahead. We've got a basic, an intermediate, and advanced. We've got YouTube Live. We've got one on green screens and virtual sets. We've even got one on live streaming drones. And we added a new one for Facebook live streaming as well. So what these are the coupon codes so that you can take these courses for free. And I just want to show you, this is one that we just launched This is, look at this, 1,200 students already enrolled. A 4.9 star. All right, sorry, I don't need to toot my own horn here. But it's completely free. Let's take a look at the other courses here. So we've got the Facebook one. Now the Wirecast and vMix one, the reason why these are $20 is because we're going to give you $20 towards the purchase of Wirecast or vMix. So we're just asking people to pay for the course so that we can give you, so we're pushing you forward on getting a software that you're going to use. So the Wirecast and vMix ones, they do cost $20. We don't have free coupons for those. The reason why is because we want to get you $20 toward the software. You know, sometimes you just got to ask people to make a little bit of a commitment in order to push themselves forward. So these two classes are $20, but we give you the $20 back towards the purchase. And we're always looking to make new courses as well. This one here is the PTZOptics camera line training course. So this one here is for anyone who owns a PTZOptics camera. We go over all the basics, some really nice overviews of how to do settings and white balance, the joystick control, all of the different, I mean, there's literally almost 40 lectures in this course, and it's not even done. And my engineer, Matt Davis, has already been talking about how to change it, how to make it better. But all of these courses, you can go ahead to this landing page and get all the free coupon codes. There they are, folks. Just go ahead and give them a go. And one of my favorite courses is how to host a live talk show. So keep a lookout for these. This how to host a live talk show on, where is it? Here it is, hosting your own live talk show. That's been a really popular one because a lot of people out there, they don't just want to live broadcast themselves, they want to bring in participants. And thanks for reminding me to do that, Roby, because I think that's going to be a popular thing that we just want to help you guys. We just want to help you guys be successful.
I subscribe to two of your courses, your vMix and the Facebook one. They're both excellent. Even if you already know a lot about some of this, there's always some great tip in there that, oh, I didn't realize I could do that.
Well, I appreciate the endorsement, Roby. And I really appreciate you joining here. So for Rick and William and Roby and Layla, thank you for just going ahead and typing in that number and calling in, because that's what makes these shows exciting. I was worried today. We were supposed to have a live show with the CEO of Zip tonight, and he had something happen in some type like Norway, or so he had to take a flight out of New York, and he couldn't make it. So I really appreciate you guys calling in and making this a success.
I'm curious how Layla is appearing. Did she call in through Skype? Is that how she showed up? I could have done the same thing.
Yes. So actually, in the description of this video, there's a link, and that link, if you type that link in, oh, looks like. Okay, Rick's asking about the status of the auto tracking camera. Well, let's answer that as well while we're here. There's a link down there, and that link allows you to join via video. So you could have joined via video and audio.
Got it. Thanks.
Oh, it looks like Carol Walker's here as well. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
How are you today?
All right.
Thanks for joining in. Do you have any questions you want to ask while we have you?
Well, I know you guys have got something that's a wireless solution thing now, don't you, for huddle cams?
Oh, how did you find out about that?
Well, I've been kind of keeping up on you guys, and I see something's coming out on that.
We do have something coming out, but I don't believe it has been announced yet.
Yeah, I think he might be referring to the HuddleCam Air.
Oh, the wireless AutoCam Air?
Yes, wireless air, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yep, so we have two wireless products and some really, all I can say is I'm not allowed to talk about it, but some great wireless stuff coming out for 2017. Q1, nothing going to take long. This is our wireless chat pod. So this is 100% wireless USB speakerphone. The Huddle Cam Air is coming out in a new form soon. I can say that, right?
I suppose so. Yeah.
All we can say is that we're shooting to have a sub $1,000 version of the Huddle Cam Air coming out. I think that's safe to say. That's all. That's all I should probably say.
Yeah.
Andy's uncomfortable because I'm saying things I shouldn't say, and I'm a little uncomfortable too. I don't know how you found it. We assume that you knew something that you might have not even known. There's some new wireless stuff coming out that we're really excited about. It's going to be a game changer for the industry for sure. It's going to have things that we just can't talk about. So we
Not
do have
until everything's tested and working. So.
Yeah, we can't talk about that, but we can talk about our 3XA. We have a camera. We're going to have the 3X Huddle Cam is our most popular camera. That camera is going to have audio built in as well. So everyone's been asking for that. Can we have that camera with microphones built in? That we can say is shipping Q1. The other thing that's going to be coming is the auto tracking camera. We're allowed to mention that. That's been publicly mentioned. We're going to have an auto tracking camera. It's PTZOptics and Huddle Cam are going to have two different tracking options, and they're going to be different because they're going to solve different problems.
Yeah.
The PTZOptics auto tracking camera is going to work with any PTZOptics camera.
Yep.
It's going to work with any camera that supports Sony Visca, which is really nice, meaning Sony cameras, some Panasonics, many Vadio cameras work with it. And so it's just going to be a modular box so that it'll be a lower cost, and then you can slap it on any camera that's ever been installed, most likely.
And that box takes just like regular like NTSC video. What's that box actually input into?
So the box is going to have a frame grabber. So it's going to have it's actually an Intel NUC. It's literally an Intel NUC computer. I might be stepping a little bit over the boundaries of what we're allowed to say. But I think it is safe to say that the perfect track system that's been coming soon for so long has the reason why we've been delay is because we want it to be perfect. We don't want to release something that's not going to be perfect. Everything that we've ever released has been rock solid. And I think everyone here, any one of our customers knows that. And our engineers have very high standards. So the perfect track had to be delayed. But
Yeah, we're not going to release it unless it does what it's supposed to.
But the last version we saw looked really, really nice. I think Q1, probably leaning towards Q2.
I don't think we can really.
It's not gonna come
we
in
can't
January.
name a date down yet or say exactly when it's going to come out, but we are hoping for 2017.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're in education, so we used to, and years ago we had, in fact, I was dusting dust off of an old Parker Vision auto track camera we have here.
We have one of those too. I know.
Yeah,
I've been literally, actually, you know what? I'm going to go grab it just because some people don't know what it is.
I've got one right here if you want to see it.
He's already grabbing it.
He's already grabbing it. But anyways, yeah, we've been looking for some kind of track. We do stuff in bigger rooms, so we've been looking for some kind of tracking solution stuff, which would be cool. Yep, that's what we've got. Big old tether cables, big boxes hooked to it. Yeah, it's something else.
It's a cameraman.
So this is the competition. We're worried about it. It's got some nice features. In fact, look at the back of this thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's massive. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly the one we've got here. Yeah, old NTSC with the big heavy dongles and.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does it have on the back of it?
Oh, all kinds of like COM ports
as video.
Yeah, it's all old standard COM ports and everything in that one. Yeah, it's a.
Yep.
They were bulky. So in your tracking solution, are you?
Yeah, I think our tracking camera solution should look a little bit better than this one.
A little bit more compact. That's what we're after. Yeah, exactly what we're after.
You know what though? I do have we have it set up here, honestly, and since you asked, we can go ahead, show it to you if you want. Save. Okay. So yeah. So here it is actually. So this is the auto tracking camera. I'll have to unplug from this. And I have to turn it on to track mode. And just tracks me like this.
Very smooth.
It's HD SDI, so this is ready to go, and I can show you a couple videos of it and everything. But this is going to be definitely shipping Q1, and
Okay.
we've released some information about it. But it's a really nice little camera, and I believe I can show it to you here.
I don't think you're going to be able to get over to it.
You don't think so?
You're going to see the side of the other camera. Yeah.
You could just see the top of it.
I got you. Yeah. So it looks a lot like the newer format Huddle cam then pretty well. Oh, I think I see you there.
Yeah, it's a pretty large camera. It uses two lenses. There's one on the top that's the PTZ, that's the tracking part, and then it uses a really wide angle fixed lens on the bottom to just get its place in the room basically and figure out where everything is.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's yeah. We're gonna have a lot more information coming on. It has a combination of two cameras.
Gotcha.
In fact, here we go. I'll pull up the other part of this.
And of course, you may or may not know what kind of price market's going to come out when you release it at all yet.
It does have an MSRP of 6,000 roughly.
Okay.
So that's MSRP.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're asking all the questions for the things that if I were in your shoes, I'd be asking the same questions. But these are the things that we're kind of on the bleeding edge, things that are being announced shortly or have been announced. But
well, it sounds like you guys are looking forward to what we're already kind of been wanting or been asking about. So
yeah, I'd say the topics that you bring up are a lot of things we're focusing on in the future.
Yeah. That is cool.
So thanks again for you, Carol, as well for joining. This was kind of just an off the cuff. Hey, whoever wants to show up, come on in and be part of the show. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you, Rudy. Couple last questions here. So Mike's saying, any thoughts of coming out with the PTZOptics multiple camera package for us streaming guys?
I hadn't even really thought about that. That's probably a possibility.
It is a possibility. I almost wonder, and yeah, I know what the crackle is, Mike. It's whenever we move the connection of these XLRs. That's why, Andy, you just have to have it sitting on the table so it doesn't move at all. Then it crackles a little bit. I almost wonder if like packages should be left to the dealers. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of for people like the stream dudes or people out there who, you know, are dealers who want to add value by, you know, doing some type of package themselves. So I don't want to steal the thunder of somebody who out there who wants to be innovative and creative. You know,
it's something we haven't really discussed much.
Yeah, I would like to bring it up. I'd like to hear what the team has to say about that.
Exactly.
But when we do have partners and distributors, you know, that's traditionally been handled by partners, I believe. You know, like they're willing, if they're going to get a 2-camera sale, they're willing to make something happen, kind of thing. Because we don't sell direct, and our partner channel is very important to us. They're the people who troubleshoot and integrate. Andy's like, oh, they troubleshoot? I do all the troubleshooting. But, well, and anyone who knows, Andy does a lot of troubleshooting. And, you know, eventually, Andy, they're going to get trained, and they're going to know what they're doing.
It's all right. Then we'll just change the cameras and come up with new features to confuse everyone. So.
Well, I think that's it, everybody. Oh, here comes another one. Kevin saying, any word on the Gen 2 IP joystick coming out? So the deal with that is that it's more about the firmware update for the cameras than the joystick.
Yeah, there's some things for the ONVIF protocol that we need to get worked out with the cameras fully adhering to that protocol so that the joystick can handle all of the ONVIF commands since it is an ONVIF joystick. We have some issues right now with the iris and focus not working through the PT Joy, which is I get a lot of phone calls about it. So I've got a long list of emails to get back to people once we get that firmware to come out.
Yeah, the good news is that instead of having a new piece of hardware, it is definitely going to be firmware.
Yeah.
For the small things like the iris control, the zoom control. There's a few other things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of features on the IP joystick that have never really worked, like Tor and all sorts of things having to do with the speed of the cameras, the Tor movements and things like that. That all should become operational once we get the full ONVIF profile on the cameras.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how we don't like to release things until they're 100% ready, but with the IP joystick, there was just such a demand for these things, and literally, if you look at what the Sony one costs, it's like $2,000.
Well, I think with the IP joystick, we were really looking to give people an affordable joystick that they could basically just control the pan, tilt, zoom, and presets of the camera.
Yeah,
it wasn't really meant for delving into all the menus and different options for the cameras. It was really meant to be a simple control solution for up to 128 different cameras on your network. So there's definitely room for improvement, but I think it's definitely doing its job as far as what we wanted it to be used for when we released it.
And let's add Kevin to that list, the ONVIF protocol update list.
Absolutely.
Well, there's gonna be a big announcement when that's ready. It was tossed around that it might be done by the end of the year. Things have been getting pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple projects that we're working on, trying to prioritize the best things.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear back. So I don't know exactly what the time frame is for that. I'm hoping for early next year. I'm hoping for very early next year, but we'll see what actually happens.
I do have one more question here. Put some of my over to Ask It stuff. This is Carol again. I'm really digging this cool effects you have in Zoom. We use Zoom a lot. I imagine it's a third-party thing you're doing to do the graphic overlays and stuff. What is that you're using by chance?
So we showed a couple of the courses that we have on this as well, because this is a common question. How are you doing these effects? Because a lot of the live streaming software today does what's called an external webcam, and the external webcam takes anything in your live streaming software and allows you to pull it into Zoom or GoToMeeting or WebEx or Skype for Business. So today we're using vMix to do this. And I can do a desktop capture really quickly and show you what that looks like. So I know a lot of people are interested in this kind of stuff. So let's just go ahead and show you what it looks like. So can you see that now? Oh
yeah, cool.
So here, this is the virtual set here. So I can kind of cut between my virtual sets. Basically, my virtual set has 4 camera layouts. So I can have a close-up shot. I was using a side shot so that I could fit you in there, and then a wide shot. And I've got this right here is just a clip of like snow, right?
Got it.
This is a lower third here. So there's 4 layers of 4 channels of overlays. This is like that Christmas frame. Here you are. So that's a desktop capture of Zoom. So
Gotcha.
bring Zoom into the video conference. I just put a little Christmas frame around it. And that's kind of how it works. I'm streaming right now, and then this button's the external webcam.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't record much anymore because it's already being recorded on Facebook and YouTube anyway. It just ended up just being gigabytes and gigabytes of files that I'm like, I don't need all these really.
Right.
This right here is the auto tracker.
It's like you guys aren't moving.
So yeah, that just gives you a little idea of how it works. Let's cut back to this, and there we are.
All right. That answers my question.
My pleasure. All right, well, we better wrap it up today. This was a fun live show. Thank you so much for being part of it, everybody. I hope that we went through a lot of the things that you guys were interested in. Our charity, I finally, the last thing, if you hit the like button on this live show, you add $1 to our donation to charity every year. We've already hit $20,000.
Awesome.
And that goes to the Susquehanna Valley CASA, helping children in the court system get adoptions and just get out of the court system as quickly as possible. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Paul. Bye.
Happy holidays.